Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, I feel like, okay, originally I wanted to talk about, the do's and don'ts of acclimating tissue cultures, specifically for Thai constellations, but then I took a look at my big old Thai constellation and she's going through some things right now, so it's just an update slash acclimating tissue culture guide-ish. I don't know. I'll figure it out later when I figure out the title of this video. But yeah, no, today it's mostly just straight up Thai constellations because this one is going through some things and some of y'all want updates on this tissue culture Thai constellation. So let's start with this one. In terms of do's and don'ts and what I would recommend is 100% assess your plant. Please, when you receive your tissue cultures, if it's in, the gel and in that baggie, or if it's in a jar, but it still has like the gel on the bottom, it's called agar, pretty sure that's what it's called. You really want to remove all of that because that gel has a lot of sugar in it. So if you have any residue left on the plantlet itself and you put that plantlet in another humid environment that's not sterile, you're creating like a fantastic environment for bacteria and fungus to grow, and that will kill your plant. So that is what I would recommend for anyone who's starting out for the first time, just to ensure that you're cleaning everything properly and to keep it as sterile as much as possible. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure when I first started, what I did was I used diluted hydrogen peroxide and I soaked everything just to ensure that, it was as clean can be. I think some people actually use beta iodine, and that's great too. That's a good option. I mean, it's used in like, the OR, surgical field. So yeah, go ahead and use that too. But personally for me, I went cheapy. Hydrogen peroxide, and just make sure that you, open your container to ensure that there's good air circulation. Otherwise, yeah, mold will build up. And okay, here's another thing that I want to mention. As I said, your plantlet is kind of like sterile because that's how it grew. It grew in a very sterile environment. So when you're transitioning from a very sterile environment into a not so sterile environment, lots of things can happen and we can only do so much. One thing that I would highly recommend is please don't put like, I don't know, someone had left a comment and said that they put like a stick, I think, to hold up the plant. I'm assuming it's because the plant was kind of like flimsy and she wanted the plant to kind of stand upright. Don't recommend doing that just because your stick isn't sterile. And like I said, you're going from like sterile to not sterile, and to minimize like any bacteria growth, mold, fungus, what have you, just don't put anything in it. Maybe an acrylic stick, maybe. But even then, I'm just like, no, don't do that. Yeah, I didn't ask what the substrate she put it in. Like what I didn't ask like any other questions. I just saw the comment where, she had used like a stick, and I was like, oh no, that's a terrible idea because sticks, we don't know if it's sterile, we don't know where it came from, so it's just, eventually her plant did die. But my point is you want to keep your plantlet's environment as sterile and clean as much as possible. Of course, if you're putting it in soil, there's no way you're going to be able to sterilize that. It's dirt. Of course, like I suppose you could heat it and clean it off, like kill all the bacteria that way, but that's just too much work. Why would you do that? Anyways, I digress. I'm getting off topic. So yeah, keeping your environment as clean as possible when you're transferring, and just ensuring that there's enough air circulation that's going on, so that way it doesn't get way too humid where it gives the bacteria or the fungus, time to grow. I think that's actually key. I think there's like a really good you need to have a good balance between having enough humidity and good air circulation so that it doesn't give the bacteria or the fungus a chance to grow. Another thing that I found that was very helpful was actually using stratum. Like previously I was trying a lot of things. I was using moss, did not work. I put it in soil, did not work. I put it straight into Leica, did not work. Everything was just, it was not happy. But what did work was using stratum, and till this day, this tissue culture is still in stratum and it's doing great. Like, you know, look at these roots. It's happy, it's doing its thing. I have no complaints. But yeah, I hope it was focusing the whole time. My apologies if it wasn't, but look at the fuzzy roots. And like I said previously, I find that Thai constellations just prefer to be in semi-hydro. So I'm probably gonna repot this guy into semi-hydro substrate so that it can continue to grow and thrive. And yeah, stratum is like key to everything. I don't know what it is. Like the plants, the cuttings, everything, they just prefer stratum. So yeah, I would probably recommend to everybody who is trying to acclimate their plants, just straight up use stratum for the first 2 weeks or so. And then once it starts to grow and develop, then you can kind of transition it to whatever it is that you want to put it in. Just make sure that, you know, you're still giving your plant, you know, the same amount of humidity, the same amount of light. Oh, someone did ask how much light I was giving my tissue cultures, and can't really give you an answer. Like, I'm not too, like, I love plants. Don't get me wrong, I do. But I don't like to stress myself out because of plants. And I think, like, in the past, I used to be like so anal about like, oh, my plant needs to have X amount of light for X amount of time. It needs to have, you know, the best what have you. But now I'm just like, you're getting indirect bright light. That it is what it is. Like, you're gonna have to just figure it out. Because like plants will adapt, they really will. But perhaps I suppose like for tissue cultures, y'all just want to have like the most controlled environment. I can't give you guys an answer. I'm sorry. I mean, I can throw up a picture as to where the plant itself was sitting and how far the distance of the light is, but then it really doesn't help you anyhow, because then the next question would be, well, what kind of wattage lights are you using and what have you, and it just gets too techy, and I'm not really about that. I'm sorry if you came here looking for that. Oops. But I'm just being honest, okay? I literally, like, that Soltech light, I look at that and I'm like, that's really bright. And there's like maybe 60 centimeters from, you know, the leaf to the light. So I feel like that's how much distance the light was sitting. I don't even think that makes any sense. I'll throw up a picture if that helps. But definitely give your plants lots of light is what I'm trying to say. So you kind of just want to give your plant, your tissue cultures, everything that it needs, like the perfect environment. But you know, I kind of bootlegged everything too. Maybe that played a factor into my plantlets not surviving. I don't think so, but it could have. I don't know. But yeah, so I guess like the key takeaway points from me for acclimating your plants would just be ensuring that you have a semi-sterile field. If you can't guarantee a sterile field, just ensure that you have removed all the agar off of your plantlet, and make sure that there's really good air circulation, because if not, like, you're just asking for trouble, and it will grow mold. 100% it will grow mold. It will just, yeah, it will not survive. And yeah, when you're using if you're deciding what kind of stratum, if you're deciding what kind of substrate you should be using to acclimate your Thai constellations, go straight for the stratum. It's tried and true. A lot of people are using it now, and that's what it likes. And again, I use stratum and Leica, and it's happy, and this definitely needs to be repotted. So I'm gonna actually do that now, and well, I'll do it off camera, so that way I'm not rambling. I'll be right back. Okay, so initially I was just going to show you the finished product of me repotting my tissue culture, but then I realized perhaps you guys want to see what it looks like today, like how healthy the roots are in stratum and what have you. So I pulled it out of the cup that it was in, and this is how it looks. So the roots look really good, very healthy. And when I am repotting my tissue cultures or any plant moving forward, I actually don't disturb the root ball like at all. I just kind of let it be. Whatever is still stuck to it, I'm gonna let it just stick to it. Just because I feel like when you start disturbing the root ball too much, the plant just totally freaks out and it's just not happy. And actually, I guess I can talk about what kind of mixture I'm using, because I did get asked that as well. And all of my substrate that I am currently using now and moving forward are all going to be, I guess, like semi-hydro substrates. So there's a lot of ponds, a lot of Leica. I do have some random orchid bark in here, pumice, chunky perlite, and charcoal, just to keep it free of fungus or mold. I think that's what charcoal is supposed to do for you. It's supposed to kind of keep it kind of clean, or clean. But yeah, so like I said, I don't do anything to this. I don't like to disturb it too much. This is the container that I'm using, and in here there's like cocoa husk as well. So I'm just gonna plop it in here like this, and then just pot it up. And I don't know, like my school of thought with plants is just, you know, I feel like when people were really getting into plants, everyone was like learning about, you know, the different types of substrates you can give your plants, and people were like, oh, well, this is gonna help the plant grow so much bigger and faster. But, you know, now that I've had some experience with plants, I actually don't think one is better than the other. Like, I don't think soil is better than semi-hydro. I don't think, like, in terms of semi-hydro, that Leica is better than ponds. I actually don't think one is better over the other. I think it's just more of your lifestyle, what fits your lifestyle and what the plant wants. Because let's be real, if you had like your plants in semi-hydro, you know that your plant needs nutrients, you know that you need to flush it, you know that you need to have it in like either no drainage or self-watering, like, you know, these things. So like, because you have the knowledge as to how to maintain your plant in that particular substrate, your plant is going to grow and thrive. It will. It doesn't matter like whether it's growing in moss or soil. Like, I mean, maybe some people feel differently, but like for me, I just think that because we know what to do if the plant is in that particular substrate, your plant is going to grow and thrive. Now, your plant, on the other hand, if it's already happy and growing in whatever media it's already in, let it be. Like, why are people so anal about like having to transition it over to like semi-hydro or having to transition over to soil? For me, I'm just like, hey man, if you're already happy in what, like, you know, soil, I'm gonna just give you soil. And yeah, vice versa. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna raise my kids that way too. Like, I feel like I don't want to work against my children and make them frustrated with me when I want them to do something. I'm just gonna give you what you want so that we can get through the day, as opposed to fighting with them to be quiet. I don't know. Like, for example, I was, when I went away on vacation, I noticed that, you know, parents were like super upset with their kids because they wouldn't sit quietly, and they were just like, you know, being kids, like screaming and what have you, and it's like, you know, they're saying, no iPad for you. You don't get to use iPad because you're being bad right now. But it's like, you're at the airport sitting here for like 2 hours. Just give them the iPad. just give them the iPad right now and they'll sit there quietly, not disturbing other people. But instead, you're shouting at your kid because they're not being quiet. Like, it's just, I don't know. To me, that's just a little bit bizarre. But then again, I don't know, to each their own, right? Like, yeah, to each their own. However you want to parent your kids, however you want to parent your plants, that's entirely up to you. That's just my thoughts on it. Unwarranted, but you know, I need to make small talk while I'm doing this. Okay, so I think this is it. I'm just ensuring that there's no gap, like no air pockets, because if there's air pocket, it'll be unhappy with me. So this Thai constellation currently right now is actually looking kind of pregnant. So it looks like, yeah, it looks pregnant. Right here. She looks, oh my God, can't even. There. So she looks a little bit pregnant. So I think in the next couple of weeks, she'll actually put off a leaf for me. Hopefully it's a nicer leaf. I really want to like pull this off, but I'm just gonna let it be, because just why do that to myself? So anyways, okay, so I will take this downstairs, give it a drink of water, and then put it back in the cabinet and let it do its thing. So currently right now it is residing in a cabinet that's about 80 to 90% humidity. But once it starts to put off the newest leaf, I will go ahead and start acclimating it down. And yeah. I don't know. I keep going back and forth and I can't decide if I want to sell all of my Thai constellations that are doing well, just because I don't really have the space. But perhaps once it gets to a certain size, that's when I'll start selling, because I feel like y'all still want to see updates of my failures and success. So perhaps I'll just keep this one hanging around. But here she is, all potted up, and yeah, I'll give it a good drink of water. Now, I did say at the beginning of the video, it's like a Thai constellation update. So after I had filmed my top 5 monsteras, I had showcased this big, beautiful Thai constellation. Currently right now, she looks okay still, you know, hasn't changed very much. However, after I had filmed that video, I had this bright idea, and I was a hypocrite because I like took it out of its comfy home and put it in more soil mixture, and she had a huge fit. Like, it was just not good. So currently right now, her aerial roots just started to, as you can see, like rot off. Like, I'm so sad. Like, I shoved this long aerial root into here. Well, not this specifically, into soil mixture, because I was like, oh, it should be fine. It was not fine. It was definitely not fine. It threw a fit. And this is what I mean when I say, hey man, if your plant is already happy and it's thriving in whatever media it's in, let it be. So this is an example of that. Yeah, never again am I gonna do that. So I took it out when sorry, let me back up. When I realized that it was rotting, I had like a full-on panic attack. Because first I was like, oh, maybe it's not too bad, but then it's pretty bad. Like, it's black. So what I did was I cut back all the mushy parts, and I kind of let it sit in hydrogen peroxide and water for a couple of days, and then I started to like remove anything that was rotting. And then once I had fully removed everything that was rotting, that was when I realized, oh hey, maybe the plant is transitioning from semi-hydro roots that are kind of like more water roots to soil roots. But I couldn't risk it because of this aerial root right here that's just straight up kind of still turning black before my eyes. So I was like, I'm not risking it, because it's just I've come too far. I've come too far to grow this thing, to acclimate this thing so that it's happy. I can't risk it. So I went ahead and ensured that it was clean and tidy, and I did put it back in semi-hydro. And I am checking on the roots pretty much every other day to see if it's gonna turn black anymore. So I can't even show you guys, but originally the roots were similar to the roots that you had seen here, where it was white and fuzzy. But immediately when I had put it into soil, it kind of like started to turn brown, and I was like, total panic, complete panic. But I did see some little baby roots growing as well. So I think at this point in time, I just need to be a little bit more patient and let it do its thing. Like, it hasn't started turning yellow or showed any signs of like too much stress on the leaves. So I think I'm okay. You know, the leaves still look pretty pristine, pretty good. So I just need to have faith, and I will give you guys an update when there is something to update. But yes, like truly an example of like why you don't mess around with the plant when it's already happy. Just don't do it. Just don't do it, because you don't want to put yourself through that stress. It's not fun for anybody, honestly. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for the plant. It's just not good. But yes, I'm rambling, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. Thanks for tuning in. I hope it was helpful. It was pretty casual. I feel like I was a little bit everywhere, but there's a lot going on in this house right now, so my mind's a little bit everywhere. But in any case, I will see you guys in the next video, and have a great day. Bye.